Good morning. How the devil are you all doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. Have to forgive me if I'm a bit slow today, even slower than usual. I fell for the evening show thing again. Got myself all excited for the evening shows and running on adrenaline while the show's in progress, and then the show runs out and the adrenaline runs out. So at 2:30 this morning, I was still staring at the ceiling, thinking about how our next evening show could be improved, while simultaneously figuring out what the subject of my first vlog rather is going to be, because we've got that coming up. Expected delivery of a new vlogging camera today, so just in time to do some stuff. I'll keep you posted on that. All that being said, I am tired but elated. The response to last night's show was absolutely unbelievable and universally positive. Lots of people have now received their copy of the exclusive ebook, which we have produced on the Jumbo, and the film itself is so popular, I want to play it again this morning at the end of the show. So if you've already seen it and you don't want to watch it again, please feel free to duck out early. But if you didn't get to see it, then please stick around. The Jumbo is coming. Now, in addition to all of that, I'd like to get your take on this. Yes, this is a report from Construction Inquirer that says that surprise health and safety visits by the HSE are in decline. No great surprise there. I think we're all aware of that. According to Construction Inquirer, Freedom of Information, a request made by the Unite Union discovered that Health and Safety Executive undertook only 7,647 unannounced inspections in 2022-23, a 2% decline on the previous year when there was 7,793. But here's the bit that really caught my eye. Unite National Officer Jerry Swain said, "The truth is that many construction employers are all too prepared to play fast and loose with construction safety, and it is only the fear of being caught that keeps them on the straight and narrow." Yes. Never mind the criticism of the HSE. What a damning indictment on the construction industry. It's only the fear of getting caught that keeps firms on the straight and narrow. Do you agree? Do you agree? I'd love to hear from you. Do you disagree? I'd love to hear from that as well. Let us know in the chat. Have your say. Please let us know. Are people only abiding by the rules because they fear being caught and prosecuted? I'd love to get your take on that. I'm going to throw over very quickly to this. Sad day, the end of Patreon. Yes, for those of you that don't know, we've had a Patreon page now for a couple of years, whereby some of our biggest supporters, Gary being one of them, basically pay a monthly fee to help fund this channel. Being entirely honest, it didn't gain the traction that I think it deserved. As a result, I paid less attention to it, and I've basically decided that I was taking money for no good reason. So as of the end of July, we're going to do away with Patreon, and we're going to put things over on our new Substack page. We will make virtually everything free, but exclusive stuff, and I'll come back to exclusive stuff in just a minute, we will put behind a paid firewall. So rather than paying on a monthly basis, you can just pay when and how you feel like it. It is a sad day, but you know, times move on, and at the end of the day, part of my job here is to build a community, and I don't want to be overcharging the community if I'm failing to support it in the way that I originally intended. So the king is dying. Patreon, the king is dying, but the new king, our new page over on Substack, will live long and prosper, possibly. Can I still do that? Yes, I can, as it turns out. So, yes, let's, without further ado, I don't know where we got there. Without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. It is Thursday, the 29th of June. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Hitachi wheels out its latest wheel loader. We're taking a look at the precise controls on the latest graders from Case Construction Equipment, and JCB improves the operator's workspace. Plus, there's another chance to see our epic film of the Jumbo, one of the biggest demolition excavators the world has ever seen, and we'll be playing that at the end of the show. We're going to get to all of that in just a second, but first, let us peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this day in history. On this day in 1914, an assassination attempt failed to kill Grigory Rasputin. In 1958, the FIFA World Cup kicked off in Sweden, and a little-known teenager scored 2 goals as Brazil beat the hosts 5-2. That little-known teenager was Pelé. In 1967, Rolling Stone Keith Richards was sentenced to a year in jail on drugs charges. It clearly worked, because precisely 4 years later, he was sentenced again, only this time it was alongside Mick Jagger. In 2001, the Steven Spielberg movie AI was released. We should have paid closer attention, I would have thought. And on this day, just last year, the singer R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in jail on 9 counts of sex trafficking. Seems like a smashing fella, he really does. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me remind you of the question of the day. Yeah. Imagine for a moment that you're Marty McFly. You have access to the DeLorean time machine and you can travel back to any point in time. Where are you going? Are you going to take out Hitler before he starts getting all invadey and stuff? Are you going to save John F. Kennedy from assassination? Personally, I'd like to pop back into 1920 Chicago so I could pick up a few suits and some very smart hats, and then maybe drop into the Woodstock Festival on my way back. But how about you? What point in time, where and when would you like to go if you had access to a time machine? Could make for an interesting one, that. Now, we'll come back to all of that at the end of the show, but first, a bit of this. Whenever Hitachi unveils a new product, it's big news. The company makes some of the finest construction equipment on the market, so when word reached us about a new upgrade to the company's wheel loader range, well, we did the video equivalent, rather, of holding the front page. Here is that product.
The new ZW-7 range of wheel loaders are the result of many years of extensive research by Hitachi to produce machines that meet the demands of operators, the needs of owners of small businesses and large fleet contractors, and the requirements of the European market. And so they're designed to help you control your safety, comfort, uptime, and profitability. And Hitachi provides you with extensive support for the life cycle of your machine. The ZW250-7 is the safest machine in the market, with superb all-round visibility thanks to the curved engine hood and intelligent safety-enhancing systems, including aerial angle, which gives you an exceptional 270-degree bird's-eye view of the job site. You can now work more confidently and productively in challenging conditions, with the full LED work lights package and the optional rear obstacle detection and warning system that alerts you if there's anything close to the rear of the machine. The fully redesigned and spacious interior of the cab provides the perfect workspace. You'll feel relaxed and at ease while working, because it has some of the lowest noise and vibration levels in the market, an improved seat with mounted electric pilot control levers, a 40% larger fully adjustable armrest, and user-friendly controller for the large 8-inch monitor on the side panel. Your profits will increase due to the impressive fuel economy and exceptional efficiency of the ZW250-7. Your operators can monitor fuel consumption using the all-new Eco Gauge and improve performance with several adjustable functions. Short loading operations are completed faster and more efficiently using the approach speed control feature. And trucks are loaded accurately, saving time and money using the payload monitoring system. Expect an ultra-reliable performance from your ZW250-7 to significantly boost uptime, more durable components, intelligent prevention systems, and easy maintenance features, such as the improved cooling package, automatic reversible cooling fan, and anti-clogging radiators will save you valuable time and money. Uptime is also enhanced by high-quality Hitachi buckets customized to suit your application, and robust ground engaging tools that are easy to install and replace. Feel in total control of your machine and workload with access to our remote monitoring systems, owner's site and con-site, part of Global eService. And with Hitachi's premium rental program, you have the flexibility to extend your fleet, benefiting from the latest technology with minimal economic risk. With Hitachi ZW-7 wheel loaders, we put you firmly in control of your workspace, your business, and your fleet. In partnership with Hitachi, you can create your vision.
Smart, right? Very smart indeed. So what do you think, people? Let me know in the chat. And I'm asking you to let me know in the chat. As a reminder to myself, there is no construction equipment news show this Friday because after tomorrow's show, I'm jumping in the car and I'm heading off to report on the grand opening of the new National Federation of Demolition Contractors headquarters. So I won't be here, unfortunately, to do the construction equipment news show. So for those of you that do watch that show, that Hitachi wheel loader, hot or not? We'd love to get your thoughts in the chat. While you're doing that, I'll do this. I'm starting to wonder if this is just an obsession now. I asked if you could travel back in time to any place or time, where would you go? Gary Muirhead. I'd love to travel back in time to the opening day of the Steel Wrist factory and shake hands with the man who gave us this amazing product and thank him personally. Steel Wrist, if you're watching, just please, for the love of God, sign Gary Muirhead up as your global ambassador. You won't need to train him. He knows the product inside out, and he quite clearly loves it. He also says that Hitachi was hot. Dan Cullen agrees it was hot. Ken Hatcher agrees it was hot. Peter McKenna goes one stage further and says, Scorchio. Question of the day from Steve Williamson says, back to when social media started, so I could have started what I'm doing now many years ago. Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, that's one of the reasons that we leapt on Instagram in the way that we did. I kind of felt like we'd missed the boat on Twitter, even though we were early adopters, missed the boat on Facebook, missed the boat to a degree on YouTube. But when Instagram rolled around, no way I'm falling for that for a fourth time. So, yeah, we leapt on board. Speaking of leaping on board, I'm going to throw this one up very quickly. Will you be wearing a bulletproof vest to the NFDC Open Day? I wasn't planning bulletproof, but I was thinking maybe stab-proof might be an idea. Hey, listen, it's a funny one, and I am planning to do something, assuming my new camera arrives, and I will be telling you more about that in a second. Assuming the new camera arrives, I am planning to do something with that because it is quite strange. The new headquarters will, I'm not sure if they've done it yet, but it will be called Resurgam House. It will be Resurgam House number 3. When I first started working with the NFDC, they had a tiny little office over in Staines That was Resurgam House. They then moved to a bigger place over in Hemel Hempstead. That too was Resurgam House, and this is the third. I wasn't at the opening. I worked for the NFDC while they were at Staines. I was there for the opening of Resurgam House number 2. So I'm now thinking I should be there for number 3. And at the same time, I do want to go along and show my support for the incumbent president, who is doing his level best to shake things up. So that's why I'm going along. Am I expecting them to roll out the red carpet? Not really. No, not really. Now, you may recall that we recently brought you details of the latest iteration of the motor grader range from Case Construction Equipment. Well, today we're going to take a closer look, very quick look, but a closer look at just how these machines are controlled to achieve the finest possible grades.
Hello everybody, my name is Ralf Schütze. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Grader, and I'm standing in front of our C-Series Grader 836 all-wheel drive. With our new 3-axis joysticks, functions like moldboard lift, moldboard side shift, rear ripper up and down, front blade up and down, and wheel steering are now all laying in the palm of your hand. And even moldboard turn and frame articulation are just a twist away. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, all very impressive. I just don't think I could drive one of those. That's more functions than my tiny brain could accommodate, particularly on a day like today. Do we have any grader operators in our midst? If so, let us know. What do you make of those new Case graders, and more specifically, the controls therein? Time for this. The office stroke studio from which I'm currently broadcasting has evolved over time to meet my very specific needs. There's a place for everything, and by and large, everything is in its place. My light, my camera, my microphone are all precisely where they need to be. My stream deck is within easy reach, and my backdrop looks just as I intended. It's the perfect workspace. But I'd happily swap it for this. Yeah, add in some super fast broadband and some additional sound treatment. That would make the perfect broadcast studio. JCB, if you would like to send me a complete cab from which I could broadcast, I'd be happy to take that. Not entirely sure how I'd get it through the door, but JCB, if you're listening, let's have a chat.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
The chat is right on it this morning. Steve Williamson, morning Steve, says, what was it the school teacher said? You'll make no money staring out of a window. Nice JCB cab. And this is almost poetic. Obviously, we know that JCB stands for Joseph Cyril Bamford, Mr. JCB himself, but Peter McKenna has an alternative suggestion. Just comfy boudoir. I may drop that into conversation with them at some point in the not too distant future. Now, there will be no gripe of the day today, partly because I'm feeling far too positive about the world, and partly because I wanted to leave time to show again our epic film of one of the biggest demolition excavators in the entire world, the Jumbo. As most of you will be aware, we actually premiered the film last night, but for those of you that missed it, and for those that just wanted to see it again, we're about to revisit the Jumbo. So let me get it up on the screen and allow you to sit back and enjoy. Let's have a look. Bergamo, Italy. Northeast of Milan, this historic city in the Alpine region of Lombardy is characterised by its cobblestone streets and 19th century funicular railway. In the foothills of the Alps, encircled by Venetian walls, it is home to the Duomo di Bergamo, the city cathedral. But here, there is another kind of religion. Atalanta, BC. And this is their church.
We're here in Bergamo in Italy with the mighty Despe, and behind me is the Jumbo.
Despe is, quite simply, one of the most admired and most revered demolition contractors in the world. The company has been a consistent winner of World Demolition Awards pretty much since the awards first began. It has spawned not one, but two European Demolition Association presidents. And it has seen its reputation grow beyond its native Italy, with the company increasingly working overseas. Yet in some ways, Despe is a company of contradictions. Much of its reputation has been built upon innovation and its willingness to forge new paths, develop new methods, and to embrace new techniques. Yet, at its heart, Despe is a family business that has retained its family values. And while it has seen its reputation and its operations spread to other parts of the world, Despe's roots are buried deep in Bergamo soil, which explains the company's association with the Atalanta Football Club. The company could have chosen to follow one of the more glamorous football teams from just up the road in Milan. But instead, the company is inextricably linked with the team the directors grew up supporting. For those directors, weekdays are spent working in demolition and construction, but weekends are spent at the stadium of their beloved Atalanta. So when plans were drawn up to rejuvenate that stadium, it seemed only fitting that the demolition of the stands should fall to the company that has, for decades, stood upon them. Over the years, Atalanta has brought in big and imposing strikers to score goals, to lead the line, and to push the club to ever greater heights. Despe has adopted that philosophy and has brought in a giant strike force of its own. That strike force is known simply as the Jumbo. Weighing in at more than 350 tonnes, the Jumbo is one of the biggest demolition excavators the world has ever seen. The machine wields a 12-tonne attachment that consumes concrete like an Italian eats pasta. According to Despe, the Jumbo was created by 3 pairs of hands, those of Caterpillar, Lorini and Despe itself. That description is unquestionably accurate. But in truth, the Jumbo is like the finest Italian pizza. Caterpillar provided the expertly crafted base. Despe selected only the finest toppings, and Lorini baked it all to perfection. It is a cliche, but in demolition, as in football, teamwork really does make the dream work. I'm not even going to say a word, not for now anyway. Peter McKenna says, the Jumbo is one amazing piece of kit. One of the most amazing I've ever seen. Absolutely 100%. Al Grierson says, can't have enough of the Jumbo. Totally agree. Chris Ford says, it doesn't say AWD on it yet. Mr. Wilkinson is going to have to do some pretty big projects to afford one of those, I would guess. Steve Williamson says, what a cracker of a video. Very professional. Wish I could claim responsibility for it, but that was entirely Fred's handiwork. In fact, if you'd watch that film closely enough, you can actually see me standing around having a chat. That was my contribution on the day. Lovely bit of kit. Love to drive one of those. It's an awesome piece of kit. Listen, I've been up and in it. It is every bit as impressive as you would think. Ken Hatcher says, nice to see the sprockets in the correct place, like the dust units. The dust units were, if it weren't for the machine in the middle, you know, the 350-ton machine in the middle, they would have been the most eye-catching thing there, the dust suppression units. Al Grierson says, I like it how it has an orange beacon. Very easy to miss without it. Yes, it is the size of a block of flats. It is 350 tons. An utter behemoth, says Peter McKenna. Ken Hatcher says he likes a pizza. Steve Williamson says 350 tons. My God. Now, I'm just going to go through here. The dust suppression unit is even more impressive. Yep, Jim Turner says, some tool that. Do you have any info on how many loads it splits into and build setting up time? Not build and setting up time. That bit I don't know. I mean, this was a bit of a freak anyway, because the machine was actually working literally about 2 miles down the road from the yard. So I think they probably had plenty of time to play around with it that time, but because of restrictions on Italian roads for most travel, that will break down into 13 different loads. Now, one of the other things as well, Steve Williamson says, did you get one of those hard hats, Mark? Yeah, Yeah, you're damn right I did. One of my proudest possessions, that. What an absolute piece of kit that is. The funny thing is, I don't even know if it's UK legal. It's light, it's comfortable, it looks cool. Let's be absolutely honest. I mean, as hard hats go, that's about as cool as they come. I don't know if I can wear it. I don't know if I can wear it on UK sites, but it's actually been sat up there for a couple of days now. It's going back there after the show, but yes, I did manage to get one of those. Let's have a look. You need some amount of ground prep and calculations to get that machine on a site. Yeah, and again, bearing in mind, we talk about the Atalanta Stadium there, right slap bang in the middle of a city, right in the middle of Bergamo. So not the easiest place to access, but yes, fantastic. Stephen Guthrie's on his way out the door. Catcher's latest guys are work calls. Work comes first. Dust suppression unit is impressive. Jim Turner. No, we've had that one. Peter McKenna says the Caterpillar 5110B Rush TUHD 90-5 is in the Guinness Book of Records as the tallest demolition machine, but that Jumbo may put it to shame. Yeah, the issue with the Rush machine is I'm not entirely sure it ever actually did any work. I know it went onto site. There was an accident involving that machine before it went to actually to work. I'm not entirely sure it ever actually turned a track in anger. You, Jamie, I'll leave the word for your imagination. Yeah, do you know, it's weird. I mean, I've got models and I've got hats and jackets and all that sort of stuff. But I have to say that really, really, really quite pleased with that. Who is the manufacturer of the hard hat? I tell you what, let me have a poke around inside. I'll see what I can find, because I can't see anything through these glasses, and it's quite dark in here. I know you can't tell because I'm in the light, but it's quite dark in here. I'll have a poke around it afterwards. Dan Cullen is back now. As I said, no gripe of the day. So that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in a second before Leaping Gazelle. Like you know the score. If you can't stick around, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. But the crack will begin immediately after a final word from our show sponsor. And there's a few bits and pieces that I'd like to address there, if I may. So if you've got the time, I'll see you after this. Let's switch back to our usual show music, which sounds like that. I think we're due an upgrade for that, Getting a bit bored with that. Maybe it's because I've listened to it 534 times, or thereabouts. So let's go back to the comments, and I'll go right the way back to the very beginning. It's a sign of the way that this show has gained traction. I've said it before, I have buttons on my screen that allow me to throw up videos. When I first started, I had 6, 7 buttons. I now have 40 plus every single day. So there's that. But the comments used to be, there'd be half a dozen. Now I have to scroll up until I get to the top of the comments. Thank you for that. Dan Cullen was the first off the mark this morning, and Glenn Johnston was hot on his heels. Good morning, gentlemen. How the damn are we? Well, I don't know about you, but I am doing fine. As I say, really struggle to sleep after the evening shows. You get a bit of a buzz because I'm kind of in gear for this. The bizarre thing is, I have no nerves for this. Having done it 500 plus times, this is second nature. I could probably do most of this in my sleep. But the construction equipment news show, because it's away from our usual time and it's a slightly different format, and our evening shows, they make me, I think nervous is probably the wrong word, but they do make me very intense, and it's hard to switch that off after a show. So yes, all that being said, I woke up this morning, big smile on my face, because I think last night went very well indeed. Craig Williams is in the house, Mr. Craig Williams of CSW Groundworks. Good morning to you, Craig. Graham Williams is in the house. Now, I want to talk about Graham Williams. Graham, just so you know, Graham was the person that I was talking about yesterday who is a dyslexic and is trying to get sorted for a CSCS card. Mick Norton, who I don't think is in the chat today, Mick Norton very kindly provided me a telephone number for his link person, I guess, at CSCS, and I pass that on to Graham Williams. Graham Williams phoned the guy and has heard nothing back whatsoever. Now, on the one hand, I am always Graham. I think, you know, it's out of courtesy, try to call people back, and particularly when somebody is potentially facing the issue of being rendered unemployed because of the rules changing under CSCS. However, I would also say, I would imagine the head honcho at the CSCS is a pretty busy guy. So, Graham, if you're still listening, give him a day or two, and see if we can. And if not, get back to me, and I will get on the case myself and see if I can prompt him to give you a call back. Stephen Guthrie is in the house. Chris Ford says, "Good morning, people." Good morning to you as well, Chris. Let's have a look. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, guys. Fantastic show last night on the massive jumbo demolition excavator. Yeah, I have to say, as I say, I can claim no responsibility whatsoever for the film itself, but I was really quite pleased with how last night went. And I think that's going to set the tone for future shows. Yeah, bit of a tiny preamble, minute of preamble. Here's the main thing. Let's have a chat about it. And I think that's the format that we'll be using going forward. And we do have more of those coming up. We've got one next Wednesday, 7 p.m. With the mighty Cabelco. And we've got one the week after that, which is slightly different. It's going to be effectively Bobcat's origin story. It's a good one. You'll enjoy it. But that's coming down the pipe as well. Ken Hatcher, slightly slower than he normally is, but he is here nonetheless. Good morning, Ken. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, gang. Mr. Grierson, all the way from Luxembourg, who asks, what's the camera? Well, you might ask. It is the Canon PowerShot V10. It's smaller than that. It really is pocket-sized, but it is 4K. And it's got a pop-up screen so you can see yourself while you're vlogging and stuff like that. Just to very quickly explain, and I'm not going to get into all the technicalities of cameras because that's not what you're here for, but when I'm away from here, when I'm not doing this, there's stuff that comes up during the day or during the week or whatever, and I've just got a bit concerned that if I'm going to do any sort of video, be it reaction to a breaking piece of news or just a stream of consciousness thing, it always looks like this. So I've been looking for a camera that I can take with me pretty much everywhere. I wish this Canon V10 PowerShot V10 had come out before PlantWorks, because I would have used nothing else. As I say, it's very compact. It shoots in 4K. It's stabilized. It does all the things. It's a fantastic tool. It's got a little stand, so while I'm out and about, rather than having to cart around tripods and stuff like that, just pop it up on a stand and chat away to my heart's content. Looking forward to playing with it. As I say, all things being equal, it should be delivered today, and its first outing should be my trip to the NFDC tomorrow. Yeah, sad day, the end of Patreon. It'll be open. It'll be open until the end of July. But yes, listen, I am incredibly grateful to all of those that have been patrons over the years that we've had it. But I'm just very conscious, certainly over the last 3 or 4 months, I've not been able to give it the attention that it deserves, and I don't want to be taking a monthly payment from people and not delivering the relevant value back. So the plan is, we already have our Demolition Insider website up and running, and we will make probably 96% of everything we put on there 100% free. But we will then also add in things like, on this occasion we're not doing it, but things like the book or the mini ebook that I've written on the Jumbo, we'll add that over there, and if you want access to that, you can pay. So rather than paying monthly, you can just pay for the stuff that you want. Simple as that. It is a sad day, but as I say, it's a decision I've kind of had to make, because I just don't feel like I'm delivering the value that I should. So there we are. Peter McKenna, sick note, is in the house. Good morning to you. I've never seen a surprise visit in 35 years. We always know they're on their way a week before. Yeah, and therein lies the issue. And as I say, the deeper issue from my point of view, and I have to say, my immediate thought was, and I think Al Grierson picks up on this a bit later on. My immediate thought when I saw that quote about companies will play fast and loose unless they fear being caught. Does that remind anyone of the CMA investigation? Play fast and loose until you get caught. Certainly made me think about it. There was my question of the day. If you could travel back in time, what time would you go to? As I said, 1920s, Chicago. Go and get myself a nice couple of Al Capone suits. I would imagine they'd be very cheap, but I'd look pretty damn splendid in them. But I think I'd pop back into Woodstock on my way back, experience a bit of the Summer of Love and a spot of Santana while I'm passing by. Because, you know, why would you not? And there is the comment that Al Grierson made. Yeah, once you get away with something once and benefit from it, cost savings, gain time, you'll just keep repeating it until someone gets hurt or you get caught. And I've already said it's a sad indictment, so I'm not going to repeat myself on that. But one of the things that constantly bothers me is how the industry says one thing, does another. We are pro-women in construction, but we allow women to be abused on site. We are pro-mental health, but we make people work away from home for prolonged periods of time away from this network. We are pro-health and safety, but only because the HSE are watching. Just doesn't sit well with me, I'm afraid. Let's have a look. Mark Whiting's in the house. Morning, Mark. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. The superstar that is Steve Williamson has also joined us. Good afternoon. Good afternoon? The hell? Good morning to you, Steve. Threw me off completely. Crescent Day, not got a clue. There are so many dates in history that would make a good leap. Yeah, I have to say, I mean, you know, the temptation to pop back and have a quiet word with Adolf Hitler. When I say a quiet word, I mean a slap round the ear roll. That might be an idea, but so many things. And bizarrely, I'd like to pop back and see things like the Great Fire of London. Read about it, like to go and see it. Not to gloat, but to see it. Let's have a look. Al Grierson is thinking about his YouTube numbers quite clearly. I'd like to go back to before 2005 so I can get some 4K footage of a factory fresh O&K digger. I'm clearly a professional. We already knew you were a professional, but yeah. Don't you hate that? I notice it mainly. I tend to watch quite a bit of YouTube of long lost bands from the 80s, and all the video is kind of square format and really crappy quality. It hasn't survived the passage of time. And when I look back, one of my YouTube channels started in 2006, I think it was, so 17 years ago, and some of my early videos are terrible quality. Imagine being able to go back and capture some things like the O&K diggers, but even like the tail end of Broit, and you know, capture a drot in action, capture not at a vintage plant rally, but an actual working RB, an RB30 or something like that in 4K, just to capture it for posterity. Jim Turner says, morning. Good morning to you, Jim. Ken Hatcher says, the reverse warning should be standard, really. That was on the Hitachi wheel loader, I would guess. Obviously a fan of the Hitachi cab. Peter McKenna says, that's comfortable. You'll be asleep in no time. Not so sure that's a good idea. Al Grierson from reporting live from Luxembourg. The larger Hitachi wheel loaders are fairly popular around here. Well, go shoot us some footage then, Al, if you know where they are. Sorry, must go, says Dan Cullen. Not a problem at all. Graham Williams says, do your members know grandfather rights have gone? Yes and no. My understanding is they're going rather than gone. My understanding is they don't go until the end of the year, but we have done quite a bit on this. Obviously, I covered it initially and then covered it again with my mate Ollie Guns. Those videos are on YouTube and ready for people to watch. I do wonder, though, I did speak to Graham yesterday about his current situation with CSCS, and I do wonder just how many people are aware of the disappearance of grandfather rights, because certainly the reaction when I did my video, when Ollie Guns did his video, and when we did one together, we got an awful lot of, what? When did this happen? Why has nobody told me? So I'd like to think that the people that watch this show on a regular basis will be aware of the situation with grandfather rights. But can I say hand on heart that everybody knows? I certainly can't. Question day, I'd like to travel back in time to the opening of this stimulus factory. Gary, seriously, if ever the job for Global Ambassador of Steelers comes up, you're a shoo-in. You're an absolute shoo-in. There is Mr. Drew, who is probably counting down the times for his counting down the days till his holiday, which is coming up fast. We agree, I think, that those Hitachi wheel loaders are hot, scorching, in fact. Yeah, hindsight is a marvelous thing, isn't it, Steve? I wish I could have gone back and paid more attention to my YouTube channel before I did. Where are we today? We're at 96,930. All things being equal, we should be hitting the 97,000 in the next 24 hours or so. The subscriptions have slowed somewhat, but we do have some new films, obviously, of the Jumbo, which we've been sitting on until we did the launch. So hopefully that will take us to the 100,000. I'm hoping. Yeah, again, I've already discussed this one. It's a funny one. You know, I've got some very good friends that are at the NFDC, and I'm expecting some of them to be at the event tomorrow. But there are some people there that really don't like me at all. I'm going primarily to support the new president, John Lynch. He has set out an agenda to try and shake things up, and all I can do is hope that I've said it before and I'll say it again, the demolition industry requires and deserves a trade association, just not the one that it's got at the moment. And I do think, you know, John Lynch could well be the person to actually give it the trade body that it really needs. Kerry Jones, morning, been busy with the breaker, no problem at all. A grader is up there on the list of machines I'd like to have a go on, says Steve Williamson. Yeah, I always look at graders and think it's one of those patting your head and rubbing your stomach. There's too much going on. Al Grierson says, and this is a good point, I'm surprised graders kept the billion levers for such a long time. Would have thought that electro-hydraulic joysticks would have instantly been adopted. Of all the machines that could do with multi-functions, you'd have thought a grader or a dozer perhaps might have been the way forward. Lots of talk about the Jumbo, but we've already done those, I think. Still rattling through. Bear with me, I'm just trying to find where we are now. I'm fine sitting here, says Peter McKenna. Dozer still doesn't have any power. Brilliant. Mark, we always have time for you as you run a great show. Thank you very much indeed for that, Dan. Much appreciated. Thank you for calling me yesterday about dyslexia. No one is still anything about it. Phone calls I've made, no one gets back to me, unfortunately. I can only apologise. And as I say, give it 24 hours, I'll give it another 24 hours. And if I need to lean on them, then I most certainly will. The best father and son duo ever. Wow. I've got a funny feeling we need to change the billing. It's more like son and hanger on, but thank you for that, Steve. What's different with the new camera to your old one? The new one, or the old one, which isn't old, I mean, the main camera, the one that shot the Jumbo film, is only about 6 months old. and it's got all the bells and whistles. The problem with it is, because it's got all the bells and whistles, it's very, very difficult to do sort of run and gun shooting. It weighs quite a bit. It belongs on a tripod. You've got more settings than you can shake a stick at. You've got multiple lenses and all the things that go with it. Whereas the camera that's coming through the door in the next few hours, hopefully, is, as I say, it's smaller than that. It's got one fixed lens. It's virtually automatic. So I can literally, if I think of a thing, flick up the screen, press the record button and go. That's it. It's taking out, and even this, which does shoot very good video. The problem with that is, ultimately, it is still a telephone. So when I'm out on site, you're filming a thing and somebody phones you. That's that shot ruined. Or you receive a text message or whatever it might be. I don't want that. I want to be able to just pick the thing up, point it at a thing, whether it's me or something else, and just go. I want to capture as much as I possibly can. And I was watching a couple of tutorials last night, just boring you with the details, of the notion of editing video chronologically. I know that sounds like a very sensible thing to do, but we very rarely do it. If you watch something like that Jumbo film, there is film of the Jumbo that we shot 3 hours after we arrived on site, but then 5 minutes into the video, there's a thing that we shot literally as we arrived. So you're constantly chopping and changing. My plan with the vlog style is that I will shoot for a day, 2 days, a week, whatever it might be, dump the whole lot into a timeline, take out the crap, leave what's good, add in some transitions and music, bosh. So just literally almost like, here's how my day went, here's how my week went, or here's how this trip went, that kind of thing. Hope you have a nice time tomorrow. Plenty of goodie bags. I'm not expecting goodie bags at the NFDC, but I can tell you, and I did mean to mention this earlier. Bear with me 1 second. So yesterday, after the show ended, Posty brought this. Jeff Pinion, good to his word, has sent us a goodie bag. That just fell out. There's a water bottle in there. What else have we got? I think there's hats and mugs and all manner of stuff in there. We will be giving that away, assuming that I remember, on Monday. So if you're up for a goodie bag, a Brock goodie bag, please stick around for Monday and I'll be back. I won't have time to do it tomorrow because I'm going to do a fairly quick show tomorrow. I got drug and alcohol tested yesterday, so I'm at home today. Isn't it weird how we were only talking about it and lo and behold, there you are. Perhaps a seat behind the goal in that 1966 game. Oh, wouldn't that have been marvellous? Imagine being there for that. Yes, you wouldn't have got to hear they think it's all over. It is now, but imagine being. I was at Wembley. If anybody remembers Euro '96, when England did pretty well. They didn't do overly well. They did pretty well, but we were wearing that awful grey kit, and I have to admit, I was wearing one in the stand. But I was there when England played Spain. I think it was like the quarterfinals or something, and Stuart Pearce, Psycho. Played for West Ham for a while, also played for Nottingham Forest. He was about to take a penalty. For those of you that know your football history, Stuart Pearce missed a penalty, a vital penalty for England. So this was one man against the world, and he stepped up and he buried the penalty. And bear in mind, the old Wembley would have held about 85,000 people. I swear to God, when that ball hit the back of the net, Stuart Pearce screamed, "Come on." And we heard it. We heard it over 85,000 people. So imagine that. Imagine being there when Jeff Hurst lashed in that fourth goal with his left foot from about 20 yards out. Yeah, I'd love to have been there. Gary will hate me when I get one of my my one-of-a-kind steel wrist merch this week from them. Oh dear. Bloody roasted in a cab with no aircon, says Dan Cullen. Peter McKenna says, nice and cool here in Teesside. Always cool in Teesside. London's Globe Theatre was destroyed by fire during a performance of William Shakespeare. Henry the 8th on this day. Oh, it's Henry the 7th on this day. I know. Peter, I do go through what happened on this day in history, but I have about 500 items to go through, and I handpicked the ones that appeal to me. But thank you for that. I'd love to have a go on a grader too, says Dan Cullen. Keep you on your toes. It most certainly would. Would you sell your old camera? No, the old camera. You don't. I mean, we've still. Our main camera is the Canon. Is it an R6? I think it might be called an R6. But we've got a Canon 80D, which we've probably had for about 10 years, that we still use, not quite daily, but it is our B-roll camera. So while we're filming the sexy stuff with the main camera, the other one's off to one side shooting other stuff as well. We don't get rid of cameras at all. So no. And to be honest, this is an addition. It's not a replacement. This is an addition. I just want to be able to do things like, as I say, like tomorrow, I'm going to the NFDC for about 2 hours maximum, I want to think. So I want to be able to capture the trip there, my thoughts about the trip, why I'm going, what I'm doing while I'm there, actually film the grand opening, probably a walk around the offices as well, quite possibly get a bit of interaction with somebody that while I'm there, and then just put the thing back in my pocket, jump in the car and come back home again. Bloody quick hitch pipe just went. Joys of work. I have a camera, 7 lenses. Yeah, we have. Well, if I tell you, if you look very closely, it's that side. You look that there. That's a lens. That's one of. Christ alone knows how many. But we use that one there so very little, and there's a drawer under my desk that's got another half a dozen in it. But we use that one there so very little, it just sits on the shelf. The others are in the camera bag. Wow, amazing bag. Yes, as I say, that will be up for grabs. So be sure to be here on Monday. I think that's summer done in Scotland, sitting here in the digger, and it's lashing. Yeah, we had a lot of rain here overnight, actually. Although I do think it is starting to clear up out there. Go back and get a winning lottery ticket. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But, you know, what would you do? What would you do if you won £1 million? You know, after you've spent 800,000 on cocaine and hookers, you'd probably waste the rest, wouldn't you? Not the same as earning money, is it? Much better, that's the absolute truth. Right, people, I have places to be and people to see. I'll be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. for the final Breakfast show of the week. It is going to be a pretty quick run one. I'm not going to stick around for too much after the show is done, so you'll probably be in and out in about 30 minutes as opposed to the 58 minutes that I've been babbling on today. So yeah, half an hour and we should be done and dusted. And then on Monday, obviously we'll be back with a whole bunch of different stuff, but one of the main things we'll be back with is the Brock giveaway, courtesy of our mate Jeff Pennion. Health and safety attitudes on site are changing, albeit slowly, but it's human nature to take shortcuts. I've survived 64 years by thinking what could go wrong if I do that. Yeah, absolutely. Funnily enough, there's a point in there, Chris, and my mate John Woodward up at C&D Consultancy, his company has established itself as one of the foremost demolition consultants in the world, and it has done so based on 2 words: what if? What if we did it this way? What if this happened? What if we did it another way? And yes, and unfortunately it is human nature to take shortcuts, but in construction and in demolition, those shortcuts can cost lives. What if? What can go wrong if I do that? Absolutely fantastic message to leave you all with. Right, people, go and have a good day. As I say, I've got places to be, so I shall see you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow for more of this. Till then, everybody have a great day. All the best.